it's unfortunate to think about the amount of time that I spent in my childhood that was not productive. And
Yeah.
like I've got games obviously on like Steam or games that just have their own separate way of tracking hours. And I know that there are games out there that I've put in 2,000 hours on that game alone.
Yeah.
And like there's no possible way to know, but like the amount of hours that I've probably put into Minecraft is unreal. I subscribe more to the idea that the past is the past and there are going to be so many things that you did that you regret, and that's fine. There's no way you can
Mhm.
change it. So there's no point on dwelling on things that are unchangeable, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Everybody tells me that no matter what, you can't get that time back. All you could do is look forward and just I don't know, if I just worked on myself socially, physically, just anything, I'd be at a much better state right now. And that's like the the biggest crux for me like this year. Just I just wish I spent more time, just focusing on myself, my body, whatever.
I mean, but you sound to me like you're probably around my age, right? You're still a young guy.
Yeah, I'm 21.
Yeah, so like there are
Yeah,
people.
as everybody tells me I'm young, I know that, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, you gotta use your time wisely.
Sure, sure. But like I was watching the Boogie 2988 documentary,
Mhm.
and he's like, for anyone that doesn't know, he's like a very overweight creator. And
Yeah.
much of the documentary was him talking about how his life is limited by his body.
Mhm.
And he said at one point in the documentary that I think he was talking to his girlfriend that like he wishes that he had taken care of his body when he was younger so that he could be around for longer because he thinks that he's only going to live for like 10 more years.
Mhm.
But everyone that was watching the video was like, dude, you're still alive. Like you don't have to like resign yourself to the fact that you're just like, oh well, I can't do anything. Like you're still breathing, you know?
Yeah.
And there's that phrase of like the best time to start was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. So
That's a great quote.
even if you've wasted an exorbitant amount of time, that doesn't mean that the future years are now negated and
Mhm.
unusable. They're perfectly usable, and especially at your age. I mean, you're 21, I'm 22. There's literally a lifetime of time in front of us, and even if I regret not using all of the previous years wisely, it doesn't mean that I can't use the next 60 years plus effectively. You know, I mean, what do you personally wish you had done at a younger age?
Sheesh, there's a list. I guess right now, like, the main thing is just getting myself out there more. I feel like I didn't enjoy my high school years at all. I wasn't bullied or anything. I just hated almost every minute being there. But the more I look back on it now, like before, just like 2 years ago, I was like, "Oh, thank God I'm out of there." Just I'm glad I'm out. I hated being there. But now, the more I look back on it, the more I think that there are things I could have done to make it better for me. You know what I mean? Put more attention in class. Maybe if I got myself out there more, because school, like especially, is a very social environment, and I have quite a few friends that I'm grateful for. I don't want to lose them. I don't know how to explain it. I wish I got myself out there more, pretty much, because that was like the peak time to actually work on yourself socially, because
Right.
you're mandated to be around other people. And I wish I could get those years back. I wish I could go back and just go to the gym more, get myself out there more, hang out with other people, you know?
Right.
It feels like the years are wasted, but I don't know.
Well, I know that that very much could be true with dating
Mhm.
because that's one of the things where it actually does get a lot worse as you get older if you haven't found someone.
Yeah.
Like you hear about those like 38-year-old single women and they're like, "Why can't I date anyone?" It's like, I don't know, but being that old, it's not even that old, but like being of that age and not having settled down yet is a lot harder than if you're 19 years old in college surrounded by people your age. So
Yeah.
that yeah, I get that because like you can't obviously go back to college at 38 years old and find someone, but for anyone that maybe is still at that stage of life, like they're still in high school, still in college, definitely
Mhm.
try to capitalize on that time because it's the last time that you're ever going to be around people your age, or at least
Yeah.
that
You're forced to be
concentration.
around.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you might have a job in the future where you have coworkers similar in age, but never will you ever be around that many 18 to 21 year olds ever again. Like when you say that you feel like you've wasted your time, do you feel like that extends to relationships as well?
Yeah, that's not gonna lie, that's been, like, the main problems like the past 3 months where I just like got off not even a breakup. It's just like I'm 21 years old. I just had my first date like last November. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
with a girl. That was like that's why I regret just not using my time more wisely. This could have been happened like ages ago. But
But at least you did it, right?
yeah, at least I I was lucky enough to. And but
Yeah.
sadly, just things didn't work out, and now I'm like starting to question like it's one of those things where like she insisted that it's not my fault. It's just her. And like some people tell me, yeah, like that could be like that. That's possibly the reason. It's she's just not ready. But
Hmm.
I also have to accept the fact that there's something, if she could possibly just be not telling me the truth, and
Right.
there's something about me that she's not willing to tell me that I could like work on,
Yeah, just like
and
letting
I
you
have to
down
accept
easy.
that. Yeah, yeah, like that kind of thing. It's just like
Hmm.
it really sucks, and it's like it's been not killing me the past few months, but it's like, man, I was so close. She was a very beautiful girl. It's like
Right.
I'd argue pretty much like out of my league too. But I don't know how I got a date with her in the first place, but like maybe this is like it's my first date. I'm inexperienced. I wish I've done this before. Just so I know what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say, how to act.
But again, I
It's
mean, that's still better than if you hadn't done it at all.
yeah.
Like my one of my friends that has never dated anyone outside of a few like, get-togethers.
Mhm.
He like I can tell that he would have benefited from a relationship even if it fell apart after just a couple months. At least you get the experience, right?
Yeah.
Because I've had really only one long-term relationship, my current girlfriend, since I was 16. But
Mhm.
before that, I had one relationship in middle school that was like pretty bad. I mean, it wasn't the model of a good relationship at all. But I think that in having that experience, that made me better equipped for the future experiences, right? And I always give this example of my YouTube channel, how this is not my first one. I had a second one that didn't go anywhere. And I put a lot of time and effort into it and nothing came of it.
Mhm.
And that actually probably, is paying dividends in the format of me having the experience. It didn't pay me in terms of literal money or subscribers or fame, but it gave me the experience that I could apply to the future things.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Yeah. It's-
Like,
I just at the end of the day, it's just a change of mindset for me. Like I have to accept that I can't get that time back. And I feel like a lot of my problems will be solved if I could just read people's mind. You know what I mean?
sure, but like, why do you feel so bothered by the loss of time?
Because like I feel like like I said, if I took care of myself much earlier, it would have been. I mean, who knows what could have happened? Not just with the day, but just like in life in general.
What do you mean taking care of
But
yourself?
I've always had a hunch that I have like ADHD, but I've never gone around to getting it tested, mainly because it's expensive, but also because like just I don't know. I guess I was just kind of afraid of like taking the meds in case I do need to. And just now, I recently like got an appointment to get tested for it, so I could start taking medication in case I want to go back to school. It's those kind of things. I'd be in a much better state now if I just got tested in high school. I'd be in college by now. I'd be who knows? Maybe I'd even have a like degree. Right now, my main goal is to lose a lot of weight. I'm 5'5". I'm right now. Last time I checked was like a few days ago. I'm at 198 pounds, which is obese for someone like my size. And my goal is to get down to like 150 by like August or September if I can.
Mm-hmm.
And but this could have all easily just been avoided if I just took care of myself back then in those years. Because like losing weight or just like maintaining a healthy weight is not hard. I'm dieting right now. I'm like I can't exercise because my foot's injured, but I'm dieting right now. And I've already lost a couple of pounds. It's not that hard. Just eat a balanced meal every day. Like that's easy. One or two balanced meals. Like I could do that.
Right.
Staying under like a calorie deficit. It's easy. That's why it's bothering me. It's so easy. It's something I should have done like in the ninth grade, 10th grade. Because who knows where I could have been by now.
I hope I'm not misattributing this quote to someone, but I feel like it was President Obama that said something along the lines of sometimes you have to make decisions with incomplete information, and that's the best you can do. And
Mm.
and I mean, I could look back and be like, man, if I had only invested in Bitcoin in 2012, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would have $50 million right now or something. But like,
Yeah.
I don't have that luxury of being a you know what's the term, like a soothsayer, where I can just predict the future. It's not
Yeah.
possible. And in a similar way, maybe a little bit more tangible, I do wish that I maybe started out working out, lifting weights when I, had every single part of my routine optimized. Like I knew about tracking calories and I knew about having a really good workout.
Mhm.
I literally only recently, as of like the past 2 or 3 months, I have started tracking my progressive overload, like the amount of weight and reps that I've been doing. And I'm like, why did I take so long to start doing this? Because I'm actually starting to see like pretty noticeable strength improvements because
Mhm.
I'm going into the next workout like, oh wait, no, I actually did this amount of weight, so let me add another rep or two, versus like kind of
Yeah.
just guessing what I did last week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, if when I was 17 or 18 and I had been doing this then, like how much muscle could I have put on now? I could have been like a bodybuilder now. But it's it's not something that I lose sleep over because I know that when you start something out, you're going to be terrible. Like that's just how it
Mhm.
is. It's the same thing with
Yeah.
my channel. Like I mentioned how the first year of my channel, it's been almost a year of this channel. If I had started out back in April or May when everything was really blowing up, if I had started out with that, really business savvy mindset of like, oh, I'm going to do this and it's going to be super calculated. And then after 3 months, I'm going to launch this and start making 10 grand a month. Like I probably could have made a lot more money if I had that knowledge going into it, but I didn't have it. Because why would
Mhm.
I? I had never been through something like that before. I didn't know what I was doing. And
Yeah.
now going into 2024, I have way more business sense and I'm way more knowledgeable. So I'll be able to make more money. And, you know, it's just like, this is just how life works, man. Like it just,
Yeah.
it sucks that we can't know everything going into the moment, but that's just how we operate. That's why we respect elders so much because they've lived an entire life and they can share their experiences with us so we don't make the same mistakes that they did.
Yeah.
And when you're 21, a lot of stuff is going to fall apart. And that's just how it is, you know?
Yeah. I want to ask you, like, what's if you could go back in time? Obviously, like, invest in Bitcoin, whatever. But it's like if you could tell your younger self whatever, like, let's say you have like 10 seconds to tell your younger self something. What would you say?
That's hard.
Yeah. I only give you 10 to 15 seconds, maybe at most.
It's hard to distill everything to one moment.
Hmm.
And like I made a video today about purpose, and I talked about how don't pick the top 5 things that you care about. Just pick the one. Make it your single priority. And I, for a long time, haven't had a priority. Right? I haven't thought about like what is most important to me because then that would inform my decision of like, well, what should I tell my future self so that I can be prepared for that. But
Yeah.
now I would say that I am most focused on work and YouTube and building something for my future. So
Mhm.
if I was 15 or 16, I probably would have told myself to I, honestly, man, probably don't play so much video games. Don't spend so much time on that. Like it's it's honestly almost hilariously depressing how much time I probably spent not doing something productive. And the amount of times that I've probably like literally just like load up Minecraft and I'm like, I'm just gonna fly around in creative mode and just like blow up biomes with TNT. And like
Yeah.
it's literally fundamentally a waste of time what I'm doing. It's purely for fun. Like, oh, wouldn't this be awesome to like you know? But
Yeah.
but but if I knew how much of a waste of time that was, I probably would not have done that. But I was a child. I was younger. I did not know what I was doing. And that's what kids do. It's not like I beat myself up over that. But
Mhm.
if I had someone my parents to a certain extent would tell me like don't spend so much time on this, go outside, play or something. But I feel like having a mentor or an accountability partner or someone to check in with me when I was a little bit younger would have been helpful. And not to the point of not enjoying your youth, because I don't want anyone to say that you need to be the 16-year-old drop shipper making $500,000 a year. Like you should still enjoy being young, but
Mhm.
maybe just someone that pushed me a little bit more towards a productive future because again, like I would be lying if I said that it wouldn't be nice to have had years of experience before me. And then
Mhm.
now being 22, I could have been like, I don't know, maybe like full time YouTube by now. I could have been, living in Dubai. Not that I ever would want that, but like having a lot more material success would have been nice. But I'm not super worried about that. It just is what it is. So
Yeah.
I guess that's a super long way of saying I wish I told myself to just lay off the video games.
Yeah.
What would you tell
Just
yourself?
depends how young I like depends like how old I am at the time that whoever I'm talking to, like the younger me, like 15, 16, yeah, I'd say go to the gym, just
Hmm.
uh I had a relationship at the time. It was online though. It was like some girl I met on Instagram, and like I stayed with her for like 2 or 3 years. I'm not even sure. I'd probably say just leave her because like if I'm being honest, like those kind of relationships are never satisfying. Like long distance. I don't know if you ever done it. Have you?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent. My girlfriend and I, we went to different universities, and
Hmm.
she and I were about 2 hours apart for, golly, like I guess COVID helped a good bit because we came home to the same town, but there were probably 4 month stretches where we didn't see each other in person, and that was hard for sure. I mean, it wasn't like across
Hmm.
the country, but it was enough to make it like, oh yeah, we're not able to see each other every day like we would want to.
Hmm. For me, it was like 6,000 miles. She was like all
Right,
the way
like
in Europe.
that's
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I like regret thinking that that ever work out. Like we had plans to meet. It's funny enough. I think we like split right before we planned to meet. But like at the end of the day, we knew like we realized like we just weren't good for each other, so we split. So that's probably why I'd say it's just my past self. Like I know you think you love her, but at the end of the day, it's I'm you. I know it doesn't work out, so you might as well end it now. Focus on yourself. Just go to the gym. Go meet other people in real life. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure, yeah. No, actually, I do know what you mean because in that middle school relationship I had, the only other one I've had, I distinctly remember having a conversation with my mom because she didn't particularly like this girl, and she
Mm.
and I was like, "What if I marry her?" And she was like, "You're not gonna marry this girl," and I was like, "But maybe," and
Yeah,
I know I was like 12, 13-year-old me, I didn't know any better,
of
but
course, yeah.
I know what it's like to be there where you don't have the proper judgment to know that this is a complete waste of time. And
Yeah.
I ended up breaking up with her about after 8 months, I think. But I can sympathize with the creators who tell young men to not waste their time with women or relationships because I mean, like I said, for the past 7 years, I've had a really good relationship. But if I was single and I was like trying to decide how I would spend my time, I can see how it's incredibly distracting to pursue a relationship just for the sake of having one or not realizing that the person you're with might not be good for you. A lot of guys
Yeah.
they fall into that trap because they're like, well, it's better than being alone, but often it's not. Often
Yeah.
it's way better often to be by yourself than to be with someone that makes you feel lonely, right?
That's one thing, like, I absolutely agree with. It's like I forgot the saying, it was something along the lines of, like, just because you're alone doesn't mean you're lonely. They're 2 different completely
Absolutely.
different things.
Yeah.
You could be surrounded by hundreds of people and still feel lonely,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, Robin
And
Williams, I think, said that quote of
yeah.
it's better to be alone than to be lonely. Yeah. Or
Mhm.
better to be alone than to be with people that make you feel lonely. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. But you said
I
that
guess, like
you broke
mhm?
up with that girl a few months ago, right?
She not broke up because we only been on, like, 1 date. I talked to her for, like, a few weeks and I asked her out, and then just it didn't work out, so I don't know if I consider it a breakup.
Okay. Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like you can't help but feel disappointed.
Right. And what would you say that you learned from that experience?
Be ready, I guess, because like I said, there's people say, like, before you go into a relationship or possibly enter one, love yourself.
Mm,
And right now, like, I could admit there are a lot of things that I don't love about me. My weight is just one of them, you know? The fact that
hmm.
I'm not in school right now is another one. I don't really have any passion. All the people my age have at least something they're working towards. So, right now, it's just they say all you can do is work on yourself, and yeah, that's what I'm doing. Just trying to lose weight, just trying to find something that I can invest my time in. I'm
Right.
thinking of going into YouTube possibly, but if I have the time for it, I
Okay.
definitely do have the time for it. But just I don't know if it's something I want to venture into. I haven't tried anything yet, but
Hmm.
who knows, you know? And just yeah, lose weight, find myself a passion, a hobby, whatever. And whenever I'm ready, just get myself out there more.
Hmm.
You know?
Oh, it's fantastic that you have the self awareness for that because a lot of people do not, and they think
Yeah.
that they know that life is shitty, but they're still like, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Like at least you're trying to lose weight.
hmm
When you say that everyone around you has things going for themselves, what are some examples of that?
My friend Jose, he's like actively going out to uh he's in trade school, I believe, and he also has a job at the moment and he at least has something he has like he has something to work towards pretty much. I also have a friend who's going into aviation. He's trying to become a pilot and he has that going for him. He's like he loves flying
Hmm.
and just the main reason why I feel jealous is just because I don't have anything. You know, it's there's nothing
Right.
I don't know if I say I hate the idea of working, but it's like there's nothing I really want to work towards at the moment, you know?
Well, what have you been doing? Are you living at home with your parents still?
Yeah. I have all the time in the world to find something, I guess, but I don't know.
Having too much free time is definitely a bad thing.
Mhm.
And finding something to fill that, not just like fill the time because that is not very deep, but like fulfilling what you think that you're good at and what you love doing, right? Like is there anything that you particularly like to do or find just like, man, I can just do this for hours?
I'm big on movies and watching, like, video edits, I considered, majoring in film at some point, but I'm not sure.
And are you debating going back to college or going to
Absolutely,
college?
yeah, once get tested for ADHD my sister has it and my other sister has it, so I'm assuming I have it too. It pretty much runs in the family.
Right.
So, if I like, a big reason I struggle in school is just lack of focus.
I wouldn't steer anyone away from college, but I would say that if you know that you have ADHD and struggling with school or struggling in school, like that's a big deal.
Mhm.
And like you're not quite sure what you would do for a job or anything, like those are all pretty big risk factors when you're going and saying, yeah, I'll spend $120,000 on a degree. You know, like
Yeah.
you want to be crystal clear that you're going for the right reasons, especially if you're going in later, because most people, their argument is like, oh, we go to college to make friends when you're young. But it's like, if you're going in older, then it's more just really about the degree, isn't it? It's really about
Yeah.
like progressing your life. It's not so much about
Mhm.
the social aspect. But I would not discount YouTube. I mean, if you said that you've got tons of free time and you like film and movies, like that's a niche on YouTube. You know, people make
Mhm.
content about that, and it's certainly a good way to make money if you have a good personality and people like listening to you, right?
Yeah.
So, when would you go to school?
If I could, like, this year around, fall term.
Yeah, so I mean, in that case, that gives you a good amount of time, 6, 7 months to maybe find something to do online with YouTube because I don't know if it's the kind of thing where you have always wanted to do it or it's like, oh, this would be kind of fun. But I know that personally I always wanted to do YouTube. There's nothing else that would have gotten me up in the morning that much. Even as a kid, I knew I wanted to do it. And again, with to bring it back to the time, if you know 10 years from now, you're like, man, I wish I had started that YouTube channel. It's like,
Yeah.
well, you're 21, man. I mean, this is the perfect time to do it. You don't have any
At the time,
obligations.
yeah.
Yeah, like or maybe honestly, man, like people love fitness transformations. And if you're
Mhm.
actively trying to lose weight and like getting on self improvement, that would be a great way to do it, right? I don't know how comfortable you'd be on camera, but that's totally a route.
That's definitely like, an opportunity for me, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I recently just bought, a PC, like, last November, like, it was, like, a few like, 2 months ago.
Hmm.
Um, I mainly got it because I've always wanted one, but that was only really for gaming primarily. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend $1,000 on a really expensive console pretty much just to play what Valorant or whatever.
Right.
But then eventually I thought of, well, the video editing doesn't seem bad at all. It might be a career I'll venture into. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll just splash a grand on it. Just I got like a decent mid range PC now, and it's funny because I downloaded DaVinci Resolve just
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, but I've yet to like touch it. It's just sitting there on my wallpaper, just on my home screen. Just, I could click at any time. It's just I don't know.
Hmm.
I guess there's like a bit of a fear factor of starting something being brand new. You know what I mean?
Well, it depends because I use DaVinci as well. It's a great tool.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get into video editing to edit someone else's work, like another person's movie, I mean that's a career for sure. But
Mhm.
just personally, I know that I never wanted to do someone else's dream. If I'm gonna edit stuff, it's gonna be my stuff, right? And
Absolutely. Yeah.
and that way, every time that I edit or I open up DaVinci, I'm like, I get to edit what I want to edit. I get to make the thing that is inspiring to me. But if I
Mhm.
had to open DaVinci or Photoshop or whatever, freelance work I'm doing, and I'm like, God, I have to edit this person's dumbass movie, or like, I have to make
Yeah.
like TikTok edits for this person for $20 a pop. Like, this sucks, right?
Mhm.
I would just like think about why you're doing it. That's just the mantra with everything in life. Why are you doing this in the first place? Why do you want to go back to college, right? Do you really want to go back to college, or is it something else? And
Or is it just me wanting to fit in with people my age? You
right,
know what I mean?
right. So if you want a video edit, power to you. But I would just encourage you to really like, do you really want to do it? Is this really what you set out to be? And if it is, then absolutely do it. But definitely give it some thought, right?
For sure, yeah. It's funny because back then when I was a kid, I can't really name any channels off the top of my head, but I've loved seeing like those movie edits or show edits for like Peaky Blinders or just any movie I love.
Right, right.
And I've always thought of edits like those that I want to make or that I want to be made. And back then I've always thought, oh, I wish this YouTuber made this kind of edit or I wish this YouTuber made that kind of edit. Now I'm in a mindset where it's like, why don't I make that fucking video? Why don't I just
Right.
I know
Yeah.
what I want. Why don't I make it now, you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have the
No.
tool for it now.
That's how I approached content in the first place. I was like, I mean, these guys, like, if they can do it, I can do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, how hard can it be, right? That that's
Mhm.
that's that might be my life motto, honestly. If I had to pick one, how hard can it be? Because having just a little bit of delusion that nothing can stop you and that you're just going to
Yeah.
figure it out will take you so far versus thinking
Mhm.
like, oh, well, I can't do it. I don't have the skill or the talent. Like, no,
Yeah.
you probably can figure it out. Everyone's smart enough, right? It's
Mhm.
and it's like I watched a video recently, I think from this financial channel, How Money Works, and I think he talked about like there are people way dumber than you making tons of money on the internet, and people
Mhm.
perceive certain creators as like, oh, this person's stupid or this person's extremely smart, but often people that we think are like just knuckleheads, like Jake Paul or whatever, like they're making lots of
Yeah.
money. So it's like if he can do it, then you can find something, right? Like
Absolutely, yeah.
I want people to get rid of that self-limiting belief that it's only for special people or like I don't have the talent for it. Like yes, you do. Just it just takes
Mhm.
some time to figure out what that is.
Go the extra mile and I wouldn't say become famous, but, like, if you wanna make it a career out of it, you have to put years and years into it,
Yeah.
which I'd probably be willing to, like, who knows? I'm just there's just a bit of fear factor in me, like, not wanting to just take a risk, I guess, because it is risky at the end of the day if you wanna invest a lot of time in it, which is why people say, like, think of it as a hobby first or make it a hobby first, you know? I'm pretty sure that's
Sure.
how you did it, right? It was a hobby for you?
YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, it's always been the dream, dude. I never thought of it as a hobby.
Really?
It was the kind of thing where I was like, I'm gonna do this or die trying, you know? Because
Fair, yeah, I like that mindset.
because I feel like if you approach things with a hobby, then you're resigning yourself to the fact that it's not going to work out. And
Mm,
and I just talked with someone about this on the podcast about how I do music as a hobby. I've been making music with FL Studio for like 7-8 years now, and I love it. It's a fantastic outlet, but I know that I'm not gonna be getting a Grammy. I'm not gonna be performing, and that's
mhm.
fine. I'm not so worried about this because if I thought that I was going to be successful and that didn't happen, then I was like, then I'd question myself. But I'm like, no, music is the hobby, YouTube is the dream, and I separate them
Mhm.
because if I just thought that YouTube would be a hobby, then I'd probably be more inconsistent. I wouldn't. It's almost like if and when you fail, then you can almost like justify it to yourself, like, oh, well, it was just a hobby. I wasn't trying that hard
Yeah.
anyways. Or like if a relationship falls apart and you're like, oh, I wasn't that into them anyways. You know, it's like, stop bullshitting yourself, man. Like,
Yeah.
you wanted it, but you treated it as a hobby. And that's just how it is.
Mhm.
If you have the free time, like you mentioned, like a fear factor of risk, and like it's always a risk to like do this thing, now would be like the most optimal time for you to try because you're still at home, not working, parents are paying for you. Like, this is the time. This is like the next 6 months. I don't want to say grind, but like if there was any time that you would experiment and figure out what you want to do with life, now would be it, I think.
And now I have a foot injury too, so I'm like stuck at home all day pretty
Exactly.
much.
Yeah, you got no excuses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man, it's
man.
just, yeah, now's the perfect time. Now's prime time.
Yeah, man.